But I created Shake Butter Blesque because I was just like, we need a place to feel like ourselves, to perform, to be around other Black people, to feel like family. We need more sacred spaces, and we need them in the Valley. A lot of people say this is the first Black burlesque show that I've seen in Los Angeles, and I love that for us.
That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Tell me how you feel. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Black excellence at its finest. How that skin glows, she's a true diamond. With the world at her back, she's still smiling. Never left that crown till she stays thriving. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Keep it real. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Is that really it though?
What up, y'all? Welcome to That's It, That's All, where women, the tribe, the girls can come in and indulge through shared experiences and just have a good old kiki. And one part about this show that y'all are going to know and be about is that not only are we going to be discussing topics, but it is also our job to highlight the beautiful things that, you know, women like me are doing, whether it's in the city of Los Angeles or around the world. So today we got the girls on the seats are going to be the ladies from Shake Butter Blesque.
Yeah.
And we got Jasleen, a.k.a. Rape Mama, a.k.a. Poom Poom Queen, a.k.a. Turk City. And we got Yvonne, a.k.a. Decorator of the Year, a.k.a. she going to move your shit around, make it look good. And she's also another part of the Shake Butter Blesque team. Now, I brought these ladies on because I went to their event. What day was it? The day was like last 25th. Weekend?
Yes.
March 25th. And let me tell you something. Like, as a person that is in the arts, I love to see shit like this because it was the first burlesque show that I've been to. And I actually sang in a burlesque company when I first moved out here. That was all Black women, all beautiful, all shea butter skin, all that. And it was just so exciting. So I was like, y'all got to come on the show. And I need y'all to give us a little bit about what even made you come up with this concept. So you guys, and y'all can start because, you know, y'all all butters. So let's go.
Okay, well.
Go ahead, CEO.
So what made me come up with the concept, I'm originally from Chicago, raised in Atlanta. And so I'm always around like Black art, Black people, Black businesses, Black luxury, all of that stuff. So when I made the move to Los Angeles, I was, doing auditions for go-go dancing. I was doing auditions for burlesque, and I wasn't getting them. And so it wasn't that necessarily that I was comparing myself, but I knew that I had the talent and stuff to do it. And I had come from a place where that was just never a problem. And so I wasn't getting them, and I was looking at the lineup. And the lineup, if they did choose a Black girl, was light skin, curly hair, and it was one of them. Only one of them. And so I'm going full out, hitting everything. And these girls are like, you know what I'm saying?
Real mayonnaise.
Yeah, and so after like going to a couple of things and being the person that wanted to be a part of that and be in that, I was like, I'm not finding no spaces for me. And even if they did accept me to be a part of these things, it don't feel right.
Even when you were a part of these things, did you feel like you were getting watered down?
Very watered down, very like I had to adjust myself, very like it just wasn't my place. And also living in the Valley, you don't get a lot of Black events. And for me, I started to feel very homesick. And so I started to create, Shea Butter Blesque was probably the second thing I created. I started off with dinner parties. But I created Shea Butter Blesque because I was just like, we need a place to feel like ourselves, to perform, to be around other Black people, to feel like family. We need more sacred spaces, and we need them in the Valley. So because nobody's trying to go all the way downtown all the time, and you know what I'm saying, like we just could not find our spaces.
Downtown is the pits, first of all. I don't even want to drive all the way down there in that one-on-one traffic. But okay, so one of the aspects that I saw that was really cool was that like, I didn't know, and I think Yvonne, you was a part of this. I didn't know that, like, like Yvonne comes over to the house and chill, and Jasleen's my roommate, y'all. If y'all didn't know, but they came, like, we were in the space and we were sitting there drinking, eating. First of all, that DJ was fire. She wasn't missing at all.
DJ.
So we're dancing, doing what we doing, and people just started coming out the crowd. And Yvonne, I know you was one of the butters. They call it, what you guys call the
Shea Butter Showgirls.
The Shea Butter Showgirls. I was calling the butters. I was like, yeah, butter. I was like, that's what I was calling y'all. I was like, okay, butters. They all just came out. I was like, how was your experience with that, Yvonne?
It was so fun. I think this is actually our first time doing the showgirls aspect. I think it's something that we've always talked about because, like, I know something that's big for Jasleen and, like, myself, when you go to shows, like, you want to feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah.
She has a short attention span, and I'm super critical of things if I'm just, like, staring at it. But, like, when you're living in it, you can't compare that feeling. And so a big part of our show is, again, the 5 senses. So the showgirls aspect was really fun because I got to play.
Wait, it was 5 senses, but it was like 10 of y'all. I'm confused.
So
It was like 10 of
I'm
y'all.
talking about the element. Of
Okay,
this whole
So we wanted the event to be a full sensory event, meaning that you got the food to target your palate, you got the music, you got something to feast your eyes
you're
on.
talking about the whole event.
Yes, it should
we
make
was
your
talking
whole
about
body
the
feel.
butters.
So
Like
the
10 of
butters,
y'all.
she
She said
committed.
it was like 15. That math ain't right. It ain't
I'm
math.
weak, but it was super dope. But we had rehearsals leading up to the event, and it was really cool because we got to have Tony Czar choreograph the showgirls pieces, and Tony Czar is very well respected in the dance industry. I know that's somebody I've always wanted to train with myself. So his Jasleen, so him actually asking to be a part of the show and being a part of the creative vision, I think was super special because it just took it to another level.
Was it something that you guys talked about around him and he was like, I want to be a part of it? Like, how did y'all approach that?
So we sometimes we post things on the page, and people have been following us since we had our first couple of shows last year. And so we post stuff on the page like, hey, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. And Tony Czar is actually one of my good friends. So he messaged me and said, I would actually, I would choreograph for this. Immediately, I could have passed out because I'm just like, are you serious? Because that's my friend, but I also respect who he is.
Right.
And so he asked, and then what got me is that a month later, he still followed up and he still stuck to his word, and he did a great job with it. He choreographed all 3 pieces.
Well, I have a question. Because, this show is about, like enhancing Black women, uplifting Black women. And yes, we want to uplift all women, but, I definitely wanted to create a space where we can talk about the stuff that we go through, shit that we go through, right? Now, from what I saw, most of the show was very female oriented, from like the cook, from the DJ to the to the dancers and stuff like that. What made you pick a male or allow a male to choreograph your show?
That's a good question. So to be not to correct it, but the show is about uplifting Black people.
Right.
No,
I'm just saying what this show was about versus what I saw. That's what I'm asking.
Honestly, I'm open to it. And Tony is one of those people. He's like a chameleon.
Yeah.
Tony is very fluid in who he is.
Oh, amazing.
And so he's one of those choreographers that you can get Afro, you can get burlesque, you can get ballet, you can get anything.
You can get
and
everything.
so I felt, for me, I'm also that type of person. And so I just needed somebody who had a mind that had so much in it and so many different things in it to where you could put whatever on it. It's not going to look just like burlesque. It's going to look like just art. That is what I wanted to go for.
I love that. When I saw it, it seemed like everybody was having a good time.
Yeah.
And you were such a great host. I was like, she's hosting.
Thank you.
She's hosting. But what I liked is that, like, you get into a space, like you said, we live in a valley. So there's not a lot of Black spaces, at least fully Black spaces. And it was just nice to see that we could have an event and it was beautiful, and the way it felt in there, like it was just like from the decorations. And I know that you had a large part of that. I saw your reel. So let's talk about that. Like when you decided how you wanted to curate the space, because that's pretty much what you did. You curated the space because like that backyard did not look like that. We saw that.
No,
so like,
it did not.
what was your what was your inspiration around creating the space that you did?
Well, I honestly like to call myself a vibe curator. That's always been like my self-acclaimed name. When it comes to my home, when it comes to anywhere I invite people to, I always want them to be like, oh my God, that was such a vibe. Especially even with my studio space that I owned last year, it was the overall arching element we always has like, it feels so safe in here. It feels so good to be in here. So I think a big part of that is always making sure people feel like warm and embraced whenever they enter the space. That's a big thing for us. We always have a big meeting like a month, 2 months beforehand on like, okay, making it different each way. This one was a royal rebirth. So the whole conversation was, we want people to go through like a small tunnel and make sure like a big part of rebirthing is growth. Yeah. So we wanted to have a lot of plant aspects. Lennox's backyard is amazing. Our big thing is colors. Purples, reds are sexy colors. Greens are uplifting. It's a lot of manifesting energy. So I think I focus a lot of that with having a lot of greenery within my decorations, but also figuring out what kind of lighting we can to evoke different kinds of emotion in the space. That's all.
amazing.
I'm big on lighting.
That's
Mood lighting
amazing.
is
Okay, so you
Everybody's a
talked about-
spiritual warrior.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody.
Absolutely. You gotta be like the vibe gotta be right. And I feel you on that too. Like, I mean, you've been in my home. Like I like it's one of those things when you walk into a space, it's a portal, right?
Yes.
Any doorway, we all know that. We sage in the doorways, we sage in the windows. And we know that it's a portal, and it's just like, you know, the best way to, I guess, interpret it is that, like, I've always felt like my home has to be my oasis.
Yep.
And because you go out into the world and you can't control what happens in that space. You're just kind of living in it. But when you have a space that is yours, or a space that you're creating to be yours, and being able to share that with people, the idea of having the care and the know-how to be like, look, like, I'm really taking the time out to particularly put this here because I'm like, oh, it made me feel comfortable. Or this pillow is like, oh, I'm cold. I got this little fuzzy blanket. Like little things like that definitely does make people feel at home.
Yeah.
So I want to ask y'all. So, you know, we gotta get to the little juice a little bit. Did y'all have like any like conflicts, or did you guys have any like I call like anything you had to put the fire out on?
Girl, I feel like that's what it's not even did you have, it's how many. Like,
Let's talk about it, because here's the thing. You got through it. Whatever you guys did, you got through it. I just want to know because I'm nosy.
Well, I will say Vaughn is my partner. That's, you know. And so last year when we first started the shows, we were figuring everything out. You know what I'm saying? We were figuring out, what do we want this to look like? What do we want this to feel like? And all of that stuff. So what we did for this show was was like, all right, we went through the trial. Let's make sure we kind of do it a little better this time, and let's make sure we kind of cover those mistakes. So we did have certain things that happened, but I will say, I don't know if I can speak for you as well. This is probably one of the smoothest shows that we had.
Amazing.
We almost didn't have a poll.
Show did. A lot of key elements were almost taken away.
Yeah, a lot of key elements were taken away.
Okay.
But like Yvonne and LaTanya, I will say, is so amazing and was so like this show just wouldn't have happened if it was just me. And anything that I say, okay, this is not happening. All right, don't worry about it. We fixing it. We figuring it out. And so working as a team, this is our first time having a full team. At first, it was only me and Yvonne, and then help of our friends. So it was like, it was different this time because we actually had like those little fires. I had multiple people putting them out. I was like, I ain't got it. I'm not clocked into the firehouse today. I don't got the extinguisher. I ain't got my hose. Do you feel like there were any things for you that came up?
I will say, yeah, again, having the team aspect resolved a lot of issues. And I think with like a lot of trial and error, it's just overestimate everything. Like even like the whole reel process, I overpacked because a lot of the things like half the place didn't really have power like we thought there was. Like, okay, well, restructure. We ran out of rehearsal space one of the days. Well, it's like, find another one. Like, all the girls figure out your styling while we're doing all this. But it's, again, easier when it's like you have the choreographer handling this. And you have...
Isn't that the show? That's
how
it is. Like, it's like one of those things that's like, I feel like you can be a performer, but you also got to know how to put out fires. You also got to know the trick of the trades and how to find glue when ain't nothing glue, and I got to find me a piece of gum to get it done. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that creators, I think, always have like a special know-how about, because it's like the show must go on. That has been drilled with us. No matter what, the show must go on. If we have to move and manipulate and maneuver, that's what we're going to have to do, but the show must go on.
Agreed.
So tell me about, what was your favorite part of the show?
I think, honestly, the first Showgirls moment, only because no one was expecting it at that point. And I think that
sure wasn't. We
like,
oh, she coming out the crowd.
Yeah, I think it's a genuine first reaction. Like, you can never make that up again. It's just that feeling. So being on both sides, I was like rushing, like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. But then as soon as you go out there, you felt the energy. And like, the great thing about Shake Butter Blesque is everyone is so supportive. So you have the audience like hyping you up and you touching on people, and no one feels awkward. So I was like, it felt so, it was fun. It was fun and freeing. And the erotic massage, she did a great job. I was honestly just waiting for his reaction.
No, I think I had to leave. That was the second time I had to leave.
It was so
that was a
good.
spicy moment.
And we want to have more stuff like that, because we definitely want to create a grown and sexy environment where people are not ashamed, they're not embarrassed. You can leave all your bullshit at the door, all your insecurities. Like, we want it, like, so with the erotic massage, like, she had a volunteer. And he felt so good, and she felt good, and then we felt good looking
I
at
was
it.
like, damn.
Yeah.
Let me learn a little something.
Yeah. What was your favorite part, Jay?
So I'm a little sentimental. My favorite part, because I was going to say a couple of things. My favorite part was at the end, we had 2 different female DJs. It was Women's History Month. And Queen Naja and Queen XJ Honey were having a conversation about how much they appreciate each other's DJ style. And I recorded it, and I think that just made me feel so good because me and Yvonne want people to connect.
Yeah.
We want Black people to connect. But to seeing 2 Black women who do the same thing and not compete, but admire each other and love on each other and be like, no, but when you had played that one song, and then a lot of DJs are so heavily men that you don't get to see the women.
Okay, first of all, let me tell you something. I went up to the DJ and I said, and I remember, I'm gonna go back to what I got comment on something you said, but I'm gonna go back to the DJ thing. I literally I took my uncle to the place, and I said, I love female DJs. Female DJs are my favorite because females, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because we got hips, whether you want to say you don't or not. Women got hips. That's what God gave us. We got hips.
Yes.
And it's something about the way the music feels when I watch a female DJ versus when I see a men DJ. I feel like when men DJ, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's slap, but it's more so like I'm here cool and I'm the main DJ. When I see a female, they getting it. Like they over there getting it. They feel it. It's something about how they choose their songs. Like I always rock with female DJs. Like those are my favorite. Yeah. And that's not even being biased. It's just the way that we feel music because of our spirit and just like, how the world has made us, to carry everything. It's just, to me, that's just how it is. Yeah. But you said something about, you were talking about Yvonne, you were talking about the butters. We back to the butters.
You love the butters.
I love the butters.
We gotta make Shea.
Yes,
we gotta the butters.
Butter babies.
Introducing the butters.
No, when you were like, it was cool because it was so unexpected. And I remember a funny moment where there was this girl that was standing next to me. And I think it was some girls coming from the front. There was other girls coming from the other side. Yeah. And we was like, oh my God, they come. I'm talking to this girl. And I'm like, oh my God, they coming out the crowd. She said, I'm a part of it too. Woo. I was like, oh, bitch. I'm over here telling her like, oh, they're coming to the crowd. And she's like, little do you know, me too. And just floated in. I was like, yes, that was everything. My favorite part, I would say this, like, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And just to see your vision come to life. We've gotten to know each other over the past year or so. I'm always running stuff. I'm always putting productions together and stuff like that. So for me, it's an innate thing that I'm just used to doing. Yeah. But when I see somebody has talked about it and seeing it executed, and it was so beautiful. Yeah. I think my favorite part was the fact that your vision came together in the way that it did. Yeah. And you had people around you that was really supportive of that because like you said, like I got my podcast now, I got a team now, like hey team, you got Bree back there, I got my team now, but I'm used to operating alone majority of the time, and it does make a difference when you have people that truly believe in what you want to do and it's saying that like I care about it just as much as you do. That's and that showed. It really showed. And so like it wasn't necessarily like there was one favorite part of mine there. It was just like the whole experience was nice. The red carpet, you had the weed brownies. Like if I didn't have to drive, I would have been all over them edibles. Trust and believe. But I was like, nah, you're not gonna get me today. I was like, whatever. And then you walk down and you had the smoke. And I remember saying when we were at the front and the lady was checking our ticket, and I looked on the sideway, I was like, oh, that smoke. Like I was like, whatever. I'm a detail oriented person. I was like, there is smoke, and then you walk around, it was just so tropical and so beautiful. And then like you had the food, everyone was just so nice and inviting. So it was like for me, my favorite part was like how it made people feel.
Yes.
When you got there, because you go to no shade, you go to some black events, no shade, I'm a black woman, I throw my own events, and you just don't know what you're gonna get. Like that's the truth. You just don't, you like high key, you just don't know what you're gonna get. Yeah. I was just there to support you, and I was like, whatever's gonna be, I'm here, I'm supporting. But like I really walked away like, wow. Like I hadn't walked away from an event like that and was like, wow, that was dope in a long time.
Thank you so much.
In a very long time. So I would say, give yourself, we're going to give you a round of applause on that. Shake Butter Blesque. Okay, so I want to talk about, you talked about you guys had the ones a couple years ago. What do you think? How did that start? Like, how did that start? And then where you got to it now? Like, what was some elements? You talked about some elements that didn't make it or elements that were added. Like, tell me about the first round. Because, you always got to talk about the foundation.
Essentially, my goal was to create the space that I was never invited to. Not even never. I wasn't invited to in LA to bring it to the Valley. It was supposed to be a hub, a home, all of that stuff. And so I guess my vision was, at first it was going to be called like Brown Sugar Burlesque. I just like, it got to be real black and it got to be real sensual. Black is black. And then I was like, what do you like? What do you use? What is a part of you? And I'm like, okay, period. Black pussy burlesque. Well, I was like, it has to be sensual because I know I could go straight there. You know me personally. So I'm very vulgar, good coochie. Good coochie rising.
Yeah.
Like very. So
he'll be cracking out. He's here for coochie rising.
Good coochie rising every day. It's the Good Coochie Tuesday. So it was important for me to find something that resonated with Black people that was still kind of artsy and still sensual, sexy. So I was like, okay, Shake Butter Blesque. We came up with that, and then I don't even know how I partnered with Yvonne, but I think I just knew Yvonne personally. I brought her in, stole her energy. It was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. She was down for it. She became my partner. We made it happen. She had her own space called NoHo Space. And so we were doing, all the events there. And then we branched out, to now. At first, I was doing everything. So I was cooking. We hired a bartender, but both of us was kind of watching the bar. I was hosting. I was performing.
You wasn't trusting.
She got trust issues, but it's okay.
I do.
We all do though. Like, let's be real. I feel like it's Black women. We've all been done dirty. Like,
$1 go in the pocket.
Not even that. Like, working with friends can be a great thing. It also can be a dangerous thing. And then it's just exactly. And it's also just like. We've all had that one shady business deal that low-key scars you for a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna hold you. I still got my own trust issues. So it's again just like when it's your baby. It's literally like a mom. When you have your first child, those first few months, you're like, I'm not leaving my baby's side at all. That's what it felt like. And then as they grow up, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I can let you have one babysitter.
It took me a long time to trust Yvonne.
Yeah.
Mind you, Yvonne is literally like one of my besties. She's one of my like closest friends ever. But it was just hard because when you have a baby like that, it's like, I don't want this to go wrong. So we was doing it at her space. I was doing like 5 different jobs because I had to. I couldn't afford to do anything. All of this was coming out of pocket. And that's hard in LA.
Yeah.
And so she was helping me to make these things happen with a couple $100. And the way you saw her curate something now was still out of my, out of pocket, but now we just understand what to do with what we have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now I'm in a position where she has helped me to trust people. So I hired a director. I got, my 2 DJs. I hired a bartender this time. You know what I'm saying? I hired showgirls and a choreographer. Typically, I'm probably going to choreograph because I don't trust anybody to pull off the vision. And so I hired a choreographer. So, like, everything was just so different in what we did then and how we're doing it now. And this show was one of them shows where we was like, oh, now we get it.
Once you find the formula,
because it takes some time, because you do, like you said, you guys made some points about like it being your baby and relinquishing duties. It's so hard because you have a vision and you're like, are you going to execute my vision? But the thing about vision, right, that I always find so enlightening is that just because you had a vision, that doesn't make it the vision.
Exactly.
Right? And
that's beautiful.
I had a vision that this is what it's going to be, but beautiful things come along that way that actually makes it the vision. So as you were talking about, you saying you had this and you couldn't trust her for this, or then you had to trust for whatever because you had the vision, but that wasn't the vision yet.
Yeah.
And And so now that you guys have seen what the vision should be and how it can grow, now you're like, okay, these pieces need to happen. You don't know that. You don't know that right away.
Yeah. And sometimes that trust comes from the lack of belief in yourself that it could happen and that it could be something. And so Yvonne, her being here since the beginning, like I'm not gonna lie, I've pushed through a lot of things by myself, but you can't do that all the time. So she has taught me that somebody else can actually believe in your vision the way that you do. And I've never had that before. I've always, like, people are on the, they on the ride, but they only on the ride until until they on the ride.
I
hope you make it.
I hope you make it.
This show was good. I hope you surpass this. But she's literally stayed there to the beginning, like I have, like equally as much as I have. You know what I'm saying? So this honestly would not have been a thing like it is without her. And I mean, that venue she set up by herself the night before. So most of the stuff you saw, Yvonne had already come in and brought all of that stuff in. She loaded in by herself. I mean, she'll get like a little friend to help, but she don't even question me about that or ask me about that. Like, she's just a go-getter like that.
She just does it.
She just does it.
So Yvonne, what's I say? So when she brought you this idea, what made you be so gung-ho about it?
I never asked you that.
That's why I do my job and you do yours. That's all, bitch.
I wish I could remember the exact moment. But I think when you asked me, that's when I also just started NoHo Space. And I think I was still in the season, but it's one of those things, like, you surround yourself with people that also are aligned with you, or at least like being equally yoked. I have, and I always will have, extremely big visions, and I've surprised myself with the things I've been able to accomplish. So it's like, when you come up with an idea and I can tell you're super passionate, if you have that great of an idea and I'm really your friend and I see what you're capable of executing, you can do it. You just need help to get it done. So it's like, we're all going to win if we are also all incorporating and inspiring each other. Because again, I'm also a creative. I'm also a dancer. I'm also a very sexual being. And I was like, damn, I feel kind of stifled. But I'm like, if somebody has this vision and I already feel so gung-ho about it because I also would love to be a part of that space, why not be a part of helping create that space?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. That's definitely dope. And it's funny what you can put together when you actually like put it together. Yeah. Because like, how many things do you have in your notebooks? Like, I have millions of notebooks. I've had a journal or notebook since I can pick up a pen. Yeah. And like, to this day, there's still stuff. I remember one day I went through my voice memos. I was in the bed one night and I went through my voice memos and literally wrote down almost 60 unfinished songs in my notebook that was just in my voice memos. And there's some that made it to like actual track. There's some that actually made it. But it put it in perspective to like, you can always have creativity. You can always want to create things. But like, what makes the cut, right? Yeah. Because like, everything can't make the cut. There's just not enough time. There's not enough space, not enough people to help you. So the things that do make the cut are usually the things that like you sat on, you dreamed about. Like I remember manifesting me having a podcast. I was just like, one of the things I'd like to do outside of singing is like, I like to have conversations with people. I'm not afraid. I've never been a person that's been afraid to have difficult conversations because I feel like you can have a crucial conversation and not be malicious or not to intend to hurt anybody, but to only have clarity. And sometimes that shit's uncomfortable. Yeah. Like sometimes, unfortunately, it's uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? But like, if you really do, like you do your due diligence to actually speak from your heart and be clear about it, all that other stuff is that thing is fluff. So even when I decided to, do this show, I thought about it and I manifested it because I do want to have these conversations. I do want to have the space where people like me can talk about things that involve me. Yeah. And when it comes to women are the best. Like, women are the best. Like, we literally birthed the world. And I feel like we have been confined in what we should and should do, what we can and cannot do, especially when it comes to businesses. Yeah. So a part of this was about, we'll talk about topics. Yeah, we'll get down to the nitty gritty, but it is also, I feel like, my duty to highlight the things that are going around. Yeah. And I was in love with that show. Like, I was in love. I was, like I said, I haven't walked away from an event. Like, I haven't walked away from an event and felt that good in a long time. It's usually like, it's time for me to go when my friend going on.
Very much.
That's so true.
I'm going to sit for one show.
Social media going down.
I was like, I'm going to sit here for one song and I'm going to be out. So whatever. But
you was twerking and stuff?
Awkward.
We was having a good time. Queen Naija had let me tell you, she did not miss. Yeah. She did not miss a song. Yeah. Me and LaTanya was like, we was jamming.
One thing she going to do is
she was like, she was a smooth criminal that night. So moving forward, what do you see? Where do you see Shea Butter Blesque going? Like if you had, if there was like, if we were at A, we at A now, and it was a Z, because I believe in manifesting things and I believe speaking them to existence. So I'm asking y'all, where do y'all in your mind and your hearts want to see this go?
Well, A couple of places. Like, I do want Shea Butter Blesque to be as big as the Caucasian companies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do want that. I want us to travel around the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about that already and talked about some of the cities that we want. I've also written down a couple of those things. So we definitely want to travel and take it on the road. And what else? Like, what are we... like, I also, every time I've heard a lot of people say, this is the first Black burlesque show that I've seen in Los Angeles. And I love that for us.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want that to be a staple. Like, we selling out hundreds of seats because people are just ready to be at this space and to see this. Like, this is really true. This is really just Black owned. Everything is Black. The vendors are Black. The bartenders is Black.
Black,
really,
Black on Black.
But professional and luxury. You know what I'm saying?
You know I like luxurious shit.
Yes,
so you ain't gotta tell me
yes.
about luxury. I'm
Period.
bougie mama over here.
Period.
You already know that about me. But
Yeah.
I love that. I like to leave messages to our younger selves, right? If you had to speak to your younger self about your company, or even like, we didn't even got to talk about Shea Butter Blesque. We just talk about like where you are today. And if you had a message to give to your younger self, what would you say to her?
I think to my younger self, all those moments you felt alone are really those times where you should embrace all those inner thoughts. It sounds dark, but I think as a little kid, I spent so much time alone. I was an only child, but I spent so much time alone in like La La Land. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in a big stage. Oh my gosh, I'm alone because I loved creating things even as a little kid, but I was also stifled in a sense because I was raised in an African home. Love my mom, but
What country?
Kenya.
Oh, you're Kenyan.
Yeah. So with that lifestyle, like, we already are so accustomed to hardship and just finding the American dream, but the American dream is never attainable.
Yeah.
So it just stays in your head. And it's just like, okay, well, that's the only place it can stay. So stay in those inner thoughts, but stay in that because they will manifest. And it's okay to embrace all those dreams. And I feel like as a little kid, you always think about all those dreams. And when you grow up, you're like, well, they were just dreams. They're going to stay there.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happens.
Period.
But I'm like, nah, baby. You really just drafting up the real life that's coming.
Drafts, okay? You better
We in
draft
the
it up.
drafts.
What would I
we in
say
the
to
drafts.
my little girl self?
My little girl. Hey, little
I would be
girl.
like, girl, first of all these people don't know what they doing anyway. So just do your shit.
They
You
really
good.
don't.
You look beautiful. You got all these ideas. And half these people don't even be pursuing theirs. So do your shit, girl. You fine, you good, you safe. That's what I would say to myself.
I mean, look, you gotta say it. You gotta say it.
Because you know what, too? Like, I feel like, speaking of like piggybacking on spending a lot of time in your head, you can talk yourself out of a lot. And what I realized is everybody is figuring it out, and everybody has their own little universe. And once you realize that you are in charge of your universe, and you can shift anything.
Okay. Dude, I was like, I 100% agree with that because like I have lived in a space where I've always been, I wouldn't say the outlier because outlier makes it seem like it's a bad thing. Like they put the outlier as a negative thing. But I will say that like when it was an orb of people, I walked outside the orb on purpose.
Yes.
And that's a double-edged sword because even though you're walking on the outside of it, you want to be innovative, you want to be, it can be a lonely space. You know what I mean? Even if it's not lonely, even if that orb is saying, you know, you are us, something about it, like, I ain't really trying to be like, and I think that it has to do, like, for me, like, you know, I deal with anxiety a lot. Like, I know that, like, I be tripping, but it's because I've had to hone in the fact that it's not, the way my mind works is that I need to be alone a lot, and I need to be with people a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I have to recharge, and I have to be out to get that thing. And the way, as far as me producing, because I do produce a lot of things, whether it's my own shows or my friend's shows, whether it's this, it's a fact that like I didn't realize that what it was doing was allowing me to understand and calibrate. Not recalibrate, but actually calibrate, because people don't talk about it. They're like, what do you got to do to change? What do you got to? No. You got to calibrate first.
Yeah.
You got to get your even kill So your mind is clear. Like I have to have a clear space because I can't think in clutter. Like you learn these things. You learn these things as you get older. Yeah. And what happens is when you get those things aligned, beautiful things start happening. Like they say, you're planting seeds. People plant seeds for a reason. A garden you plant the seeds the spring before, you get all the water, and it grows the next spring. Yeah. And people forget that it takes a year for flowers to grow sometimes. Yeah. Like they just see it. They see it at Home Depot. And like, no, that's not how that junk grew. You got it potted. You got it potted. And if you want to take the shortcut and get it potted and plant it somewhere, that's on you because you're missing a lot. You're missing that growth stage. So I think that like going back to what y'all was saying about, like I'm not going to tell what I asked this question a lot. So like, as far as like my little girl thing, I'm sure they saw it, but I'll say it again for y'all. I guess if I had to tell her, I was like, you got to relax. You good. Everything is taken care of. Things work out for you because you know your work. You have to trust in yourself because one thing I do know is that like when I bet on me, I always win. Yeah. When I'm worried about if somebody else is going to bet on me, or whatever, people will follow what you're passionate in. I'm sure that like Yvonne saw you had passion about it. She didn't feel like you was about to be on some bullshit because that's what a lot of things people talk online. They talk and talk and talk, but like I need to see action. I need to see what you've been doing. Have you done this before? And if you haven't done this before, like, have you planned it? Let me see the notes. Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. And I always say this, like, because I have conversations about this, like, I'm going to always support my friends. But my biggest thing is I can only support you as far as you really want to work on your own vision.
I was going to say that because that shocks me.
And I'm like, if she always wants to say something, I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm always going to give you the resources. But if you don't come back and follow up and I'm like, have you done anything in 2 weeks? I'm not going to baby you through it either. Because at that point, I'm doing all the work and it's me just... What are you going to do?
Understandably. No, I get that. Because like even when I was coming out with this vision, I had asked, I was just like, I had gone through so many different concepts. Like, do I want to have it 3 girls? Do I want to have whatever? And I realized that like, okay, this is a ship you got to run on your own. People will support you. Like you can have your friends come and sit down on the couch. You can have that. But and I feel like that's what I used to do a lot. When I had something great I wanted to accomplish, I felt like I had to include like this has to be ours. Yeah. When it really is mine. Yeah. And once you step into the fact that this is my vision and you are very sure about it and you're passionate about it and you're working on it, those people will come and say, you know what, I want to help you with your vision because you've decided it was your vision. Yeah. Exactly. And that's something I had to learn myself because I truly was like, I want to put everybody on. You know me, like I'll give you the shirt off my back. Like I could be pissy mad at you. I'm like, you need something? All right, bet. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I am. But I had to realize that like when you are in a certain lane in your life, because we all go through stages in life, sometimes that vision is yours and yours alone. And you gotta stop being afraid. You gotta stop being doubtful because you are a vessel. That vision was given to you. Yeah. So if you can't claim it, how can you convince somebody else to claim it?
Exactly.
Reclaiming my time.
That's
reclaiming my time. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for coming in.
Of course.
I really appreciate y'all. And I say, y'all, check out Shake Butter Blesque. Yeah. When is y'all next show?
We have our next show on June 24th for Juneteenth weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta keep it in the culture. We gotta do something for that weekend.
So, definitely. It's gonna be
I think that's a Saturday.
And where can the people find y'all?
We are on Instagram at Shake Butter Blesque.
Yes,
Butter with an A at the end.
Butta.
Butta. Shea Butter Burlesque.
Okay. And I'm sure if y'all want to check out the show, whether it's Shea Butter Burlesque, and you know, y'all are part of being the girls too. If y'all wait on this couch, I know there's something that we talked about that y'all can relate to. Please like, subscribe, share, be a part of the conversation. And that's it. That's all.
That's all, honey.
Bye. Daz It Daz All is written by me, Casey Carnage, and produced by myself and Rick Barrio Dill. Executive producer is Duff Ferguson. Our senior producer is Sabrina Sewer. Associate producer, Bree Corey. Audio and video engineering and studio facilities provided by Slap Studios LA with distribution through our collective for social progress and cultural expression, Slap the Network. If you have any ideas for a show you want to hear or see, please email us at info@slapthepower.com. And as always, go to dazitdazall.com and sign up there to make sure you will never miss a thing. See you next show.